What's happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle, presented to you as always by DanklyfeBrand and yours truly, Dallas Clark, the host here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network, the fantasy football huddle, the high roller huddle, the Huddle Chat Sports show itself. Dallas Clark, your host. Like I said, today we're going to be getting into the top 24 quarterbacks. We're going to be talking about the top half of that top 24 quarterbacks. We've already discussed the running backs. We've already discussed the wide receivers. We're going to be talking about the tight ends down the line. I've got a lot of things coming down the line for you guys, but we got to get these early rankings out of the way so you can see how they change throughout the offseason, throughout the preseason, how they change whenever moves and injuries happen. I want you guys to have a nice starting point for your year, which is why we're doing these early rankings right now. Like I said, we're going to be getting into the top quarterbacks. So without further ado, let's fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into the first quarterback on the list. Really, these top three quarterbacks are going to represent my first tier. And this first tier of quarterbacks are quarterbacks that have the rushing upside, and they can also be top 10 easily in NFL passing volume. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the rushing upside as well as the extremely high passing ability and passing volume in their offenses, which is really where you want to be at a quarterback in a perfect world. Right now, we're going to be discussing most of the players that I have that are very different from the ECR, the expert consensus ranking. You're going to hear me throw that out a lot. So get to know that statement right there, the ECR, the expert consensus ranking, how everybody else is viewing these players. So going over that, we're going to be having Jalen Hurts at 1, Josh Allen at 2. ECR will have them flip-flopped. Right now, ECR, the expert consensus, has Josh Allen as the number 1 quarterback and Jalen Hurts at 2. The reason for me, I've got him flip-flopped. You're looking at Jalen Hurts, a man coming off of double-digit rushing touchdowns. I do know the loss of Jason Kelce may hurt that a little bit, but they have not banned the tush push yet. And you're looking at the fact that he does have the new addition of Kellen Moore on the offensive side of the football and the offensive coordinator. And you really have to pay attention to the fact that you don't need to be an elite real life quarterback to be an elite fantasy football quarterback. Yes, Patrick Mahomes may be the best quarterback in the league, but as far as the top 2 fantasy football quarterbacks, we got Jalen Hurts and then Josh Allen at 2. The reason I don't have Josh Allen at 1 as opposed to Jalen Hurts, you're looking at the fact that he lost a lot of targets over this offseason. They lost Stephon Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis. You do have the rushing upside from Josh Allen, which is always going to be there. You don't know how the passing situation is going to look this season. They do seem to be trending in a more heavy run eccentric offense. But you do have Josh Allen coming off those 15 rushing touchdowns, those 29 passing touchdowns. And like I said, he can be top 10 in passing volume, and he has that rushing upside. Going into number 3, which is lined up with ECR, we got Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chief. The passing volume will be higher for him than with Josh Allen and with Jalen Hurts, but he doesn't have quite the rushing upside as the other 2 quarterbacks or some of the quarterbacks I'm going to name after him. But Patrick Mahomes, top 3 quarterback, easy, just doesn't have quite the rushing upside as Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, which is why he's down at 3 and not at number 1, where he'd be if we were just talking about the football field, not the fantasy football lineup. Number 4 is going to be Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP. Also lines up with the consensus. He's got decent weapons. There's lots of health questions, not just with Lamar, but surrounding Lamar. And I really don't think that Derrick Henry is going to eat into his production much more than can be expected with his previous expectations, his previous running backs. So that's going to finish out. So like I said, that top 3 quarterbacks in my first tier. Lamar Jackson starting out tier 2. And then this one, this 5 and 6, I might end up flip-flopping, but for right now, I've got Anthony Richardson at 5, CJ Stroud at 6, just because in a perfect world, if Anthony Richardson stays healthy and stays on the same track, a similar track that we saw last year, he has so much more rushing upside than CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud does have better weapons, a better offense all around, but the rushing upside, if Anthony Richardson has a comparable passing season to CJ Stroud, the rushing upside will edge Anthony Richardson out over the top in CJ Stroud when it comes to the fantasy football rankings. Now, Going with CJ Stroud. Like I said, I may swap Anthony Richardson for CJ Stroud as far as putting CJ in my top 5. And another reason that he's at 6 is because I kind of want to switch CJ with the number 7 quarterback as well, Dak Prescott. You're looking at CJ, of course, adding Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon in this offseason. But I'm looking at what Dak Prescott did last season. You're looking at that 4,600 passing yards. He led the NFL in passing touchdowns, was number 3 in passing yards. I think the floor for Dak Prescott, what we've come to know and expect from Dak Prescott, is kind of the hope for CJ Stroud, which is kind of why I have CJ between Anthony Richardson and Dak, because I kind of want to put Dak above CJ, but I don't want to put Dak into my top 5. And I kind of want to put CJ above Anthony Richardson. It's a tough battle, but that's why it is where it's at right now. As far as Dak Prescott, you're looking at this backfield being set up for a passing-centric offense. All they have is Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle in the backfield right now. And I think that Dak Prescott has such a high floor. You're looking at how much success the Dallas Cowboys found in the latter half of the season when they started to try to stop forcing Tony Pollard to be a top 12 running back and just going with what they have available. Like I said, he ended up leading the NFL in passing touchdowns and came number 3 in passing yards. I think Dak Prescott's floor and the weapons around Dak Prescott are what make me really interested in the guy with the star on the side of his helmet. Moving on into number 8 will be Joe Burrow, and that is one spot lower than the expert consensus. Really, I feel like with Joe Burrow, you're betting on the Bengals remaining a top 5 offense. They do still have Jamar Chase. As a recording of this video, they do still have T. Higgins, but you're also banking on the fact that this O-line that refused to protect Joe Burrow last season, it seemed like, is still the same offensive line. They need to stay healthy and they need to protect him. If the Bengals remain a top 5 passing team, if the offensive line can protect Joe Burrow can easily be a top 10 quarterback and arguably a top 5 quarterback. It all depends on the touchdowns. I like Joe Burrow. I think he fits perfectly at number 8. I got Jordan Love at 9, Kyler Murray at 10. I have them flip-flopped as far as expert consensus ranking. Jordan Love's at 10. Kyler is at 9. You are looking at Kyler coming off of that injury, finally being able to return to full health. He's gaining the best wide receiver that he's ever had, and he's losing Cliff Kingsbury. It's a big benefit to the Arizona Cardinals and to Kyler Murray, but I do think that the new offensive coordinator obviously could take some adjustment, especially in the early part of the season. You look at the fact that Kyler Murray has the rushing upside, but he lacks the touchdown and the volume that you can really bank on to, if he's not having as good of a game as you would expect statistically wise, he can still put up the numbers through the volume, through the touchdown potential. Kyler Murray just does not have that as far as the other 9 quarterbacks above him, but I do think good things are on the way for Kyler Murray. Let's finish off these last 2 quarterbacks. To finish off my top 12, I've got Tua Tagovailoa at 11 and Jared Goff at 12. For these 2 quarterbacks, and then the number 13 quarterback, which we'll talk about next video, that is going to represent my tier 4 of quarterbacks. They've got low rushing upside. They've got good weapons, and you're looking at them really being upside choices and hoping that they can potentially hit that top 3 in volume that they really can. I think Tua Tagovailoa has better weapons than Jared Goff. I do like the cost of Tua Tagovailoa more than any of these quarterbacks that I've named so far, especially if you don't get those top 3 quarterbacks. I might even just wait until that round 5, round 6, pick up Tua at the 11th quarterback. He led the NFL in passing yards last year. Tons of rushing touchdowns from the Miami Dolphins. Raheem Mostert, it really hurt his production last year. I definitely think they kind of even out this year, get a little bit more passing. He did have the 29 passing touchdowns as well. I do like Tua a lot, which is why I put him above Jared Goff. I like Jared Goff's weapons. He also doesn't have the rushing upside that you've seen in previous quarterbacks in the top 12. But I do think Jared Goff, with the weapons, with how the Lions are moving, Jared Goff is in a perfect position. So that's going to do it for the top 12 quarterbacks. Stay in touch for the next episode coming out, which will be quarterbacks 13 through 25. We got the tight ends coming. We got the rookie playbook coming to help people in your league that are maybe in their first season as well. We got a lot of things coming as we get training camp started. So make sure you hit that notifications bell and smash that like button if you've made it this far. That's going to do it for me today. Make sure you keep your chin up and your attitude down. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.